Hi, everybody. So, welcome to the energy of the book of Genesis. I'm very excited to bring this video to you because I don't often share this type of knowledge, but I'm very grateful that I have the ability to go look at any point in history. And what I can do is I can read the energy that happened. Energy is information. So, energy that ever existed can be accessed in the present moment because we're also always in the present moment. So, it's a bit of a backstory on how I can even do this, but I hope that it's the energy that really speaks to you because these aren't things I'm going to tell you that are my opinion. These are things that are energetic insights and knowledge that I gained through connecting to the pure energy of a specific time and event. And I became curious to know what really did happen in the book of Genesis, in the creation of the planet, what really happened. Because we hear stories about, you know, from the Bible, what happened, the Big Bang, all these things. But the truth is, there really only is one truth, right? There's only one thing that did occur, and now we are here. And so, what I did was I went back and I found the energy, and the energy, what energy does is it translates into ideas and images, and as you're going to hear, even into life itself. So, I basically watched it like a movie by accessing the pure energy. Um, and a bit of backstory about me: I grew up Catholic. That's my upbringing. I now work with energy on a daily basis. It's a gift from God. And I help people by clearing their energy with a method that I created that instantly dissolves negative energy that I call Energy Queen Alchemy. So if you're on my channel, you know I'm the Energy Queen. So um, thanks for being here, and let's get started. So the first thing I want to tell you is that what it looked like before anything existed, and by anything I mean our planet, because there's definitely other planets and other things out there. Like, we're just such a small part of the existence of everything, right? um and that's okay. We're where we are and we're doing what we're doing, and but definitely it feels like there's much more to discover. There must be a reason why we don't have all that information while we're here, and I think that's okay. um but it feels like what it felt like before, you know sort of anything was that God, the spirit of God. I don't know who created God. I don't know. I didn't look at that, but like how God came about, that's a little mysterious right now. I haven't looked at that. But when God was, he just was. It's like the spirit of God just was, you know? And God is a creator. And that word really came to mind when I was watching this movie, you could say, that it's just the creator, it's the creator, the creator. Um, so it was just so cool to see, like, basically this intelligence, this spirit, this consciousness, this knowing just was there. And it felt like it got inspired to do something new. And what it looked like was kind of like blackness and darkness in space. And then this light just sort of almost like the image of a black hole, but in the black hole was a light. And it's like the light got pulled out of the hole. And all it was energy. And so it's like this consciousness of the creator just started playing with this. It brought about this sort of urge to create something. And so it brought this light into being. And then it started to play with this light. And the way that physicality gets created, the physical world around us, the way it gets created is through energy first, because the physical things are an expression of an energy that was there before. So what it really looked like was this intelligence, the spirit of God was playing and getting creative with this light and different frequencies that it started to create, to almost like express a part of itself that it wanted to express. And it started to create all these different frequencies that started to manifest into something physical. And when the earth was created, it was brown. It was brown earth, just earth. And the other cool thing I noticed about the creation of earth is that it was just layers upon layers of energies that didn't necessarily manifest, but there's so many layers inside the earth. There's so many, honestly, like energetic technologies set up to protect the earth. So the earth is protected by a lot of different vividly beautiful, like golden energies. And there are all these layers inside of it, and it's just incredible. I couldn't see like everything at once, but it's like I got the sense that it was this like ball of clay, basically ground. Within it there were layers that were physical, like probably volcanic and different elements and layers in the ground, but also it was energetic layers of protection. So this planet started out protected. There and those are still there. So it's these energetic layers of protection mechanisms that do different things to sustain the planet. And then from there, the energies kept manifesting different layers of elements. So we had water spring up from the earth. And that's actually what the book of Genesis says, that the water sprung up from the earth. And it really was like that. God was playing with the energy. The more he orchestrated the energy, it's like a symphony that he was conducting energetically. The water comes up. It's like, it really looked like just like a symphony of different energies, and they would manifest into these physical things. So water, and now we have trees, and now we have oceans, and now we have mountains. There was one point where I saw the earth was just like crushed and moved and molded. Imagine like you're just playing with sand or something, and it's just creating mountains. Though it's creating all these different events, and it was just so beautiful, because it was basically just this intelligence of God like playing, which is why I think one of our main things that we always need to do in life is play and stay connected to the sense of play, because that's how we were created. And so all the elements, it's all being churned out. We have the atmosphere, we have the clouds, like everything that was created was just spontaneously created through playing with energy and creating and making it come together. It's kind of like when you're making a piece of art, or you're making you're creating something yourself, you get into that vibe or that zone of creation, and that feels so good, because that's also what we're created from. Just that feeling of like, oh, I should do this, and oh, wouldn't that fit, and that would be perfect, the best idea. You just start doing that, all these things together, and they just start to create this full picture. And so energetically, that's what the Spirit of God was doing. And it all just started to work together, and I mean, God is indescribable. And so it's like the intelligence is beyond, I think, what we could ever understand. But I mean, intelligence is a good word for it, because the earth we live on is an intelligent place. You think about photosynthesis, and you think about, but all those things were like manifestations of playful energy and creative energy, which I think is so beautiful. And love too. The energy of love is visually green, which is why the planet is so covered in green. God is love. So it's like God could express this sort of version of his love through the planet. So the other thing the book of Genesis says is that God created man from the earth, from dust. From dust you have been created, to dust you will return. So dust, earth. And it actually looked like, I was like, was that literal? Did he literally like scoop down some dust and create? Yeah, that's one of the really interesting, crazy things, is man was created through the earth. And that's why we need minerals, we need vitamins, we feel at home, and we need grounding. That term grounding? Go out, put your feet on the ground, touch the ground, sit on the ground. Like, we are part of the earth, and we're made from, I know we say we're made from stardust, but we're made from earth also. We're made from the elements that this planet is created with. So yeah, we were created in, from the ground, from, we were animated with the Spirit of God and in his image and likeness. So we reflect something about God. I think God is so infinite, but we reflect something about God. Um, and I also saw that we had free will right away. Like we were just given life and the ability to go look around and enjoy everything. And did God create Eve from Adam's rib? Literally, yes. That verse where it says he opened up Adam when he was sleeping and he took the rib out, that was real. He actually did that. And then from there, Eve got created from the elements of the rib. So that was really interesting to know too, that that was a literal thing. And the thing about woman is like women and women were different from the get-go energetically. I saw this beautiful sparkly energy when Eve was created. So women were created physically differently, but also spiritually differently. And that's why women need to understand their feminine energy, because it from the get-go we're different. There was something there with the woman that wasn't there with the man, and not in a better way, just in a different way. And I could sense that feminine magic or whatever you want to call it right away. That was already there. And then when God said, or the part where it was like Adam named all the animals, that was literal. Like, God, I think just created like, look at this, look at this, look at this. And, it was like all these different things. And, Adam, I think, named them. So it's really interesting. It was this beautiful communion at the very beginning between God and his creations. And I think the thing that I want to say about the very beginning was that they were aware of God. It's like if somebody makes you, it's like you're meeting them, and God was present with them in a way that he's not now, and I'm going to explain why. But they could talk to him, possibly see him. They were aware of him and his spirit, and they could possibly potentially even see energy or see his spirit. It's like he was with them in a very real, palpable way. And so that is our origin as human beings, okay? What we call human beings, what I am right now, made of the flesh and blood, and, you know, um, the elements we were originally created from, like that is the origin. Um, Sort of our natural state, if you will, is to be in deep connection and communion with God, and to understand God, and to be constantly aware of God. And I think that's a really beautiful thing, because I think that's something that we crave. It seems like we constantly crave this connection with, I like to call it the bigger picture sometimes, because it's like a different view of it. Like if you knew everything, that perspective, the bigger picture, that's what God can see. So for us to feel connected to that, and not to kind of just be like, I'll go to church on Sunday and, kind of connect then. But it was like our natural state is for that to be a daily thing. And so if you're missing that as a human, like I find you're going to feel incomplete in some way, because that's, and I'm not saying that you have to believe anything in particular, but it's just like, I feel like as humans across the board, like that's been something that we, we crave, and that it is part of our nature to be connected to the force that did create us. So, let's get into a little more on the beginning and then where it gets interesting. So, if it's not interesting already, I think the whole thing is pretty fascinating. So, at the beginning, it was so beautiful. It was just Adam and Eve together, obviously naked. They didn't know they were naked. And the most beautiful energy, the most beautiful world, like this jungle paradise they lived in, just with open eyes. I just remember their eyes being so open and together, and having each other, but so curious and fascinated by the absolute beauty of the world they lived in, and just constantly discovering and interacting, and it's just so interesting. the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil were actual trees, and they were in a specific area, and they had this like divine light, so it's like they did look different, and they had like a light, like a blue light or like different colored lights that kind of lit them up energetically. And so, Adam and Eve, they knew that these trees were what they were. um, when they were standing at the tree of good and evil, the knowledge of good and evil, there was a literal snake. And one other thing about living in the paradise that they did originally was that in the Garden of Eden is that they could communicate with nature. Like I just said, they communicated with God in a real way. It was the same with nature. Like I just told you how energy is packets of information. It's the same with animals. When animals make sounds, that's like a communication of a frequency, and the frequency contains an idea. So like they were able to communicate with animals, and that's why we're also as as humans or a species, we're interested in that idea, like Dr. Doolittle, or we're interested in that idea because that actually is part of our nature as well. That was something that was real. So the snake was able to communicate with them directly, and said what it said, that God doesn't want you to eat from this tree because you will then have the knowledge that God has. And I mean, there's a lot I could say about this. I don't know if I like want to go too far into it right now, because like, I mean, I guess I will, why not? So I see the snake as a few different things. Like, number one, the snake didn't force Eve, and Adam was it with Eve, by the way. So like, I don't know why we blame Eve, but I actually started to see snakes as a symbol of empowerment because of this story, because this is because Eve had power. The snake didn't make her do anything. She was empowered to make her own choice. Um, and I also believe that, from looking at the energy world, the truth is that the only thing that exists is positive energy. So when God created this whole planet, he created everything in it, everything, even the snake, everything, the truth of everything is positive. So that's why I looked at, even with that situation, which technically got them thrown out of paradise, well, only positivity is the truth. So it must be a positive element to that. And that's what I found, that, well, snakes almost like gave her the gift of empowerment because she got to make her own choice. The snake gave her that. So snakes can be a symbol of empowerment in that way. That's a positive thing. I question why God created the whole scenario. God created everything. He knew that they had free will, right? He had foresight into the events of everything that would ever happen. That's how big God is. So why would he let that happen? I don't want to speak for God, but I almost feel like, and this is just my opinion from kind of speculating on the whole thing, looking at it, was that it's almost like it had to happen. I don't know if that's true, but it kind of feels like, well, if it wasn't supposed to happen, why did it? So there's that question that kind of comes up, when you think about these things, like if God has the control, then why would that happen? Something so big. Maybe it was just his love for us, giving us full free will, knowing that Eve was going to make a choice, and to allow, out of love, her to have her freedom. But God is love, remember? So the idea of him like condemning them and being mad at them, I don't know if that's like the vibe, like that seems like the vibe of the Bible verse. I don't know if that's the vibe of the events necessarily. I think that, God is a loving father. So think of it more like someone who loves you being like, why did you do that? That's more, the vibe. of God. So yeah, they both ate the fruit. They both realized what happened, and what that looked like energetically was actual kind of like dark energy, kind of like coming in these big waves. And that kind of scared me when I saw it, but I kept looking at it and I started to understand, like, oh, this isn't a bad thing necessarily. What it is they came into the place where we live now. And that is a place of, like, what the knowledge of good and evil means is that you're able to choose your own beliefs. And when you, like before, they weren't able to believe things that were not true. They could only experience the positive of life, really. So God gave them the freedom, and, well, I mean, through eating the fruit, they had the freedom of almost like what the creator has, which is the full agency of choosing to believe what you want to believe, positive or negative. Um, and so it wasn't necessarily a good thing, but it's where we are still now. And what that is the way our energy works now, and I've discovered this through my work, is that the whole energy world is set up, the spiritual world is set up based on that one word, belief. So your soul has the ability to believe whatever it wants. It's like a control center. And energy responds to beliefs because energies, chunks of energy, light or dark, are different beliefs. They're different frequencies. And the lighter an energy is, the more true that particular belief is. The darker, the less true in the bigger picture that belief is. So a positive belief, like I am lovable, that's going to be a light energy visually. And when your soul chooses to believe, like the Starship Commander, I am lovable, that positive energy comes into you. You could also observe your life and say, I am not lovable, but that's not fully true, ever going to be true in the bigger picture. So it's unenlightened and a dark energy that can come into you. Every energy that comes into you is based on what you believe. And as soon as you stop believing something like, I am not lovable, that negative energy will rise out of you like a ghost. And I've seen that, like a dark shadow. Whatever it is, it's going to come out, it's going to be dark. And once your soul learns that belief's not true, that negative energy can't come back in. Okay. This is a big deal because your life is created by your energy. So it's like a computer system. It's like your reality is just a reflection or a projection of your energy. If you went to high school when they had those old school projectors and like you put the image on the projector and then that's what you see, or if you think of like a movie theater and you're watching the movie, but what you're really watching is what's on the film reel, that's your energy. Whatever's on the film reel is on the screen. The screen is your life. So just think about your life that way. It's just one big movie happening all around you, but it's reflections of the frequencies inside of you. And the frequencies inside of you, light or dark, are going to be based on your beliefs, true or false. The key is all positive beliefs are true in the long run, the bigger picture. All negative beliefs are not true in the bigger picture. It doesn't matter what they are. So Adam and Eve, what happened was that this whole process got set up where if they believed a negative belief, now that negative energy of that negative belief could come into their soul. Now there's going to be something negative on the film reel. And now you're going to see something negative happening in life. And so the world became a very different place when that happened. Did they get physically kicked out? Yeah. There was that whole thing about an angel guarding the door. And yeah, it's like, it wasn't just physically moved location. Like you can't go see the two trees with the lights anymore. You're like out of this area, basically, of anything that, that had the paradisical magical places. I'm sure there were a lot of wonderful places, but physically they were kicked out, and energetically. And that began, why this is so fascinating is that began the lives that we live today. This is where we live. And so we are living that same experience of, I believe something negative. Okay, so that negative energy can come into me as a response. And now I will see that negative frequency reflect in my reality somewhere. And same thing with positive. I believe something positive and I'm going to see something positive. So that's what we call manifestation. The manifestation goes both ways, positive and negative. And that's not like a new age thing. That's like just the way the energy world works. This is what happened when Adam and Eve chose to, I think the translation of knowledge of good and evil, it's what it really is what I'm talking about. So it's the ability to choose your own beliefs and create your own reality as a result. But the cool thing about God is that God, how I said that we still need God, we do still need God. And the cool thing about God, one of them, is that he overrides our beliefs like that. He can take something out like that. We pray for something, he can give us the positive energy like that. That's how God answers prayers, by the way. You get the positive frequency of the thing you want. Now it's on your film reel, and now you're going to see something reflect that exact frequency in your life, which will be the event or the prayer answered. So God, this is God's setup. This is God's computer system, that I work with and I talk about. It's not like separate from God in any way. It's like his idea. So it's always crazy to me when people think about energy as like not God. I'm like, he made everything, he made the chakras, he made this, everything I ever talk about. Like he made me the energy queen, like he made it, so it's definitely brilliant. But it's not understandable. And what I think is happening right now is that we're being called back to the Garden of Eden. We are being called back to understanding that we can be in close communion with God and that we can create a positive universe, and we can, it never really left us, like it never wasn't there. We're still on that planet. And if you look at the beauty of animals, like they still live in the Garden of Eden, like we are still there, but because we're on the same planet. But when we believe negative things, we manifest negative events. And so what we need to do is we have to start believing positive things, but also clearing out the negative frequencies from within us. And that's the work I do. That's exactly what I do with Energy Queen Alchemy. I was like, why did I get taught this by God? Because it's a very concrete skill. It's like getting a facial for your soul. Why was I taught how to do this in 2019? It drastically changed my reality. I went from being depressed in Canada, not, trying to be a freelance journalist, to months later realizing my biggest dream of moving to New York City and being a comedian and having this as my business. That was my dream. And with a few months, I was able to do it, manifest it because of changing the energy I had inside. It's like being an energy, like an engineer of reality. You're engineering your reality through the very physics and the very substance that creates it, which is your own soul. It creates your own reality. The frequencies in you create what you see. Positive creates positive, negative creates negative. If there's a negative pattern that keeps repeating in your life, it's because there's a negative energy that's still there. It needs to come out. And there's so much I could say about this. There's tons of layers inside of our energy, and you do need a cleanse, in my opinion, from working with hundreds of people and on myself every day. Like, yeah, but again, once the energies come out, they don't come back. So you always get clearer, and you get to live the paradise version of your life. And this is what I was called to do first. I was called to create that for myself so I could talk to other people and say, what's the paradise version of your life? What's your dream? Because that is possible. And not only possible, it's who you really are, right? Because the negative energies are not originally part of the original you. Think of yourself as Adam or Eve in the Garden of Eden right now, wherever you are. That's who you really are, because that's the positive. If you just take away all the negative energy, that's your true existence. So all the negative energies are just negative beliefs that you've accumulated through your life, about yourself. And those can actually be physically cleared out of you. What a lot of people try to do is change their beliefs through their mind, which takes a long time. It's a lot of work. But the work I do is I go in and I just take it out physically. It's a physical place, the energy world. And we can clear them out And I actually teach people how to do this. I teach people how to do EQA, and they can also do it. So it's like, it's a very actual natural skill for us. And so when we're talking about, the age of Aquarius, or, whatever we're coming into now, this new time, I like to call it the new world energy, because it just feels like it's just all the positive, and that's the truth. And so we're just kind of letting go of everything that never was true. You need to do that for yourself, because we are all creating the planet, the earth, the reality with our energy. So your job is to get yourself clear. Your job is to get yourself clear of negative energy, of to notice things that are negative in your life and say, no more. I'm not going to think that's my true reality, because it's not. It's not even part of my true energy. And not accepting them as life is hard or whatever. No, it's just not who you are. So having your energy cleared, getting rid of that is so important, especially if there's something really negative. It's just not the truth of who you are. And that's what God is saying to you right now. It's not who you are, honey. So let's get rid of that from your energy. I feel like God so desperately wants to clear us all of all the negative energy inside of us. And I'm a helper for him to do that on earth, and to talk about it, to communicate all these ideas in a really concrete, practical way. And the results are practical and concrete. I even got over chronic Lyme disease, because that's just a negative energy. Everything is energy, and everything, your health, your mindset, it just all emanates from that one powerful place. It's the behind the scenes of the computer system of reality. So you can tinker with it, get rid of the glitches, get rid of the bugs. Like, that's super possible, and it happens so quickly, it would blow your mind. So the energy world is an instant place. So anyway, all this to say that paradise is real. The paradise version of you is real. The Adam and Eve version of you is real. And that's what you're being called to always come back to. That's the craving of your soul, is to come into close communion with God, to get to know God, to get to know your true self, the positive energy version of you, and to have that positive energy manifest, because all it can create is your dreams. All it can create is positive things. And it might sound too good to be true that I'm just positive energy and I will only live in positive energy. Is that even possible? It becomes more and more possible the clearer your energy gets, but it's like, you have to start. You have to believe, number one, that it's possible, and number two, you have to start getting these frequencies cleared out. Like, that's the job that I have. You know what I mean? And I've been criticized. People have told me, like, well, you can't tell people that they have to work with you, or else there's no other option. And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, if you needed surgery, you wouldn't try to do it yourself, right? You would think, I need the surgeon, like, I don't know, how is that any different to me? If there's somebody there with the skill who can help, and there is a problem and it's there and you can't fix it on your own and you want to get better, you can pray to God. God can intercept. God can create miracles and change things. You should be creating a relationship with God no matter what. But if there's a surgeon in front of you talking to you about their expertise and how they have helped people, it's like, why would you say no to that? You know what I mean? So I just have to plug my work, because that's what I do, and it's real and it works. And I'm sitting in New York today, still 4 years later. I didn't know what would even happen when I came here, but I've always been given the ability to keep going. And it always came from exactly what I'm telling you. If I had a problem in my reality, I wouldn't only try to fix the problem in my reality. I would feel, where is the origin of the thing I'm seeing projected and reflected in my reality, in my energy? I'm going to clear that. I'm going to work there. And then I would see it literally transform. So whatever your deepest desire is, that's something in your reality that makes you feel positive. And that, my friend, is who you are. So what is your dream? What makes you feel positive? That's specific to you. Not everybody wants your dream. Not everybody wants to be a movie star or a comedian. Maybe they just want to have a happy family. Maybe they want to have a baby. Maybe you don't want to have a baby. What your dream is so specific to you, because it's who you are. So if you take one thing away from this, I hope you took a lot away from it, is that the truth of who you are is who you most desire to be. That's who you are. So, what is the highest frequency for you? That's who you are. That's the real identity of your soul, the paradise version of you, which is possible and that you should every day be working toward. Don't go for second best, go for the gold, go for the top, go for the main thing because it's your true identity. And when you go there, everything that's in the way will get louder and harder. And it has to get out of the way now because you're saying, I am the clear energy. I am the pure energy. I am the highest positive energy. That's my identity. That's what I'm going to live. It's who I am. And so everything else has to go. And that becomes the process of now knowing what to clear out of your energy, knowing what needs to go, knowing what changes you need to make. And we are meant to be in paradise. That's our origin. That's our nature. This is where God is leading us back to, helping us. Remember, the earth is always protected. Remember that the energy world is always constantly around us, helping us. It's very real. And you have so much support, but it's a choice that you need to make every day. You need to keep choosing. I believe in my dreams and myself. I believe in God and his love for me. I believe that whatever it is that makes me feel the highest energy, that is my actual life. Paradise is your actual life. So I hope that this helped you. I hope it explained a lot. And if you would like to work with me, you can find me on Instagram at energy.queendom. I'll put that in the comments here, and I would love to hear from you how this helped you, how this hit you. I know that certain people are going to be watching this that need to hear it, which is why I recorded it. So lots of love. Paradise vibes. Bye.